Justice League Incarnate heads to Earth 8, where the Retaliators tell their leader American Crusader to chill out and have some tea with them. The team know that this is all about Machine Head, and Crusader knows that he's been gone far too long and is beginning to worry him. A voice says that they found Machine Head as Dr. Multiverse appears, holding the head of the being. She says her multivision saw his body vibrating between worlds and she was able to sync up with him and recover his body. She knows that ever since being hit by those strange energies in space, she can see the multiverse and their place in it, and now she can see the multiverse is sick. American Crusader is glad since the multiverse has done nothing but damage their world, demanding the woman leave. She wonders how they can ignore the giant flash of light behind her, knowing it's a beacon of Tartarus and his eternity conquest. The villain and his forces arrive on the Earth, prompting the Retaliators into combat as on Earth Zero, Avery Ho saves a group of people from Replicant, who is trying to destabilize the Chinese banks so they can now rely on cryptocurrency. Avery intends on stopping him before he kills someone, but the villain reveals that he's upgraded his power set with Multiplex, multiplying himself. As Avery battles the villain, Flashpoint Batman and Earth 23's Superman watch on, but Thomas isn't impressed with the woman's skills. Calvin tells him to keep watching, knowing that they can't do this without a Flash, and Thomas needs to trust him. Avery finishes up the villains with little trouble, confronted by Superman and Batman, who she knows don't look like the ones she knows. The heroes reveal they're from other Earths and need her help, and upon seeing a boom tube, Avery is more than happy to help, as Calvin reveals that she'll be aiding them in rescuing Barry Allen and the multiverse. The group head to the House of Heroes, where Aquawoman, Captain Carrot, Thunderer, and Mary Marvel welcome her to the Justice League Incarnate. Mary reveals that Darkseid made Barry run so fast that he cracked the multiverse and was sucked inside, so the villain could steal what dark unknown power lives on the other side, and they can't find the crack, at least not without Avery. Avery is confused, so Dinocop tells her to pay attention, telling her that there is a multiverse problem, which means it's the Justice League Incarnate problem. He says that they are to rescue Barry from whatever is beyond the multiverse and then stop Darkseid and his family from getting their hands on unimaginable power by sealing the crack. Dinocop knows that it's not going to be easy since the House of Heroes is anchored in a fixed point in the bleed, and from there they can go anywhere they want in the multiverse. But the crack's location is unstable and they don't know where it is in the multiverse, and this is where Avery comes into the plan. Avery thinks that they got the wrong Flash since she really has no experience in all of this, but Calvin reveals that Barry chose her as his replacement on the team if anything were to happen to him. Avery agrees to try and help, wishing they wouldn't call her Flash though, since she's not. Calvin shows her the quantum treadmill, which using Avery's speed can narrow down the possible locations of the crack and allow Harbinger to pinpoint the exact location to transport the team to with Avery. Avery gets to running on the treadmill, focusing on Barry Allen, while the rest of the team monitor the vibrations, soon finding the search field is narrowing, when suddenly the team is transported to Earth 8, which they find in ruins. The team recognize this as Machine Head's world, as Silver Eagle tells them that this is their fault as he tends to the now dead American Crusader. He tells them that they can keep their multiverse since their world is under attack because of it and Machine Head is dead because of them. Captain Carrot says that he was their friend as well and he betrayed them as Thomas tries to aid Crusader, but Silver Eagle blasts the man back, saying that he's dead now thanks to them. Silver Eagle reveals that Machine Head made a deal with someone in a golden mask to protect their world and it messed it up. Calvin knows that he means Psycho Pirate and he was being controlled by Darkseid, meaning the Eagle was lied to. Suddenly, Wonder Djinn is thrown into the group as Tartarus rips the behemoth in half, knowing all of their allies will soon fall before him. Eagle knows that his world is doomed thanks to their precious multiverse as Tartarus unleashes his power, knowing what lies beyond the multiverse calls out to him. Dr. Multiverse attacks the villain, but he easily grabs her, knowing what she really is as the Justice League Incarnate battle their way through the villain's minions. As Tartarus tells Dr. Multiverse that she is a desperate voice lost in the infinite possibilities of her own potential, Darkseid appears through a boom tube, saying that hope isn't required, only Darkseid is. Tartarus drops Dr. Multiverse to confront the being, knowing all about Darkseid, wondering what could break their treaty barring him from their universe. Darkseid knows that Tartarus speaks of a lesser Darkseid, a mere piece of his godhead that has long been reabsorbed. He demands the Titans surrender his hold on the crack in the multiverse since he cannot comprehend it. Tartarus knows that the villain boasts don't sway him and finally he'll have more power to be his equal. Darkseid finds the being ignorant since the great darkness beyond the multiverse is beyond Tartarus's feeble obsessions. Dr. Multiverse can feel all of the evil of the multiverse that has been consolidated into one point of focus as Tartarus wonders if perhaps they could work together. Darkseid fires his Omega beams at the villains, finding him tedious, but the beams don't kill him, with Tartarus revealing that his armor was forged from the metal ore of the 8 rings of the ancient spectrum, and now the multiverse will know who is stronger. As the Titans duke it out, Darkseid's grandfather box tries to kill Dr. Multiverse, but Superman saves her, and upon looking at Superman, Dr. Multiverse sees all the different versions of the Man of Steel, knowing that they are like dozens of stars piercing through the veil. The grandfather box returns for another attack, saying that their presence isn't required, as Batman knows that they need to stop Darkseid quickly as Tartarus continues his assault on the god. The team hide from the scouting grandfather box as Avery thinks that they don't have enough power to stop either Darkseid or Tartarus. Captain Carrot thinks that they should hide out and let them kill each other, and Dr. Multiverse thinks that's probably a good idea, knowing that she can harmonize their vibrations and use Avery's speed to unanchor the crack from Earth 8 and send it to another world. Avery doesn't know if she can do that as Superman and Carrot race off to keep the grandfather box busy, as Dr. Multiverse says that she'll create a quantum field around the crack and sync it up with Avery's speed vibrations, and together their powers should be enough to destabilize the crack in the multiverse. Darkseid meanwhile manages to strangle Tartarus, telling him that he is an echo of a whisper of his weakest moment, and he would never fall to him. Darkseid kills Tartarus as Dr. Multiverse blasts the crack, sealing it shut with Avery's help. With the crack lost, Darkseid tells the heroes that they are only delaying the unavoidable, taking his leave through a boom tube to follow the crack, seeing as that his Apocalypton tech can already track it, and he'll be there long before the heroes are. Dr. Multiverse tries to stop him, but the villain disappears before she can blast him. She wants to follow after the villain, but Batman knows they have no idea where the portal leads to. Carrot wants to help Earth 8, but Silver Eagle tells the heroes he'll clean up their mess yet again. He says that Machine Head spoke highly of Superman and he was the smartest person the being knew, but Machine Head knew that he had to put their worlds first, and they can't save everyone since it's impossible. Superman disagrees as the team head through the portal. Avery stops though, knowing that she isn't ready for this since only a few years ago she was just some kid in Central City, and now she's rushing off on multiversal adventures and she's terrified, and if a hero like Barry Allen couldn't handle this, what hope does she have? Dr. Multiverse says that she's scared as well, and Earth 8 is her world, but they reject her because she reminds them of how small they are in the grand scheme of things. She says that when she looked at the League, she sees infinite futures, and it's a future she wants to help. She says that when she looks at Avery as well, she sees the energy that creates worlds, and a real Flash and a real hero, wanting Avery to join her to save the multiverse. Avery takes her hand and they disappear through the portal, as back at the House of Heroes, Dino Cop loses the team's signal, finding it reckless that they even thought about confronting Darkseid. Aquawoman wants to lead a party to follow after them, when suddenly the house is rocked by a boom tube opening. The team are soon met by Orion, son of Darkseid, who knows that he's the only one who can defeat Darkseid. Orion says that he's taking command of Justice League Incarnate and the House of Heroes, since the only way to save the multiverse is to make it bleed. Mary Marvel knows that's all well and good, but notes Orion was followed as Calabac, Grail, and an army of parademons file through the boom tube to attack them. The team battle the parademons that breach the House of Heroes as Dino Cop tries to send an SOS out to all worlds, but their comms are being jammed by the villains. Orion explains that Darkseid's forces want the House of Heroes and the tech that's inside of it, since it was built by monitors, planning on using it as the ultimate weapon. Calabac demands the house be ripped apart before Orion uses it against them, but Grail calms him, since the parademons will do their job and both the house and Orion will be theirs. Aquawoman meanwhile calls Orion insane since he wants to use the house as a battering ram, but Orion knows that there is no other choice if they wish their team to survive. Dino Cop shuts them all up, knowing the parademons are infiltrating section by section and will soon find something critical to destroy. The team know that if the parademons get something important, they will have to order the self-destruct sequence if they can't get moving. Orion thinks that he could use his Astro harness in the ship's systems to get them moving again, so with no other choice, the team follow Orion's lead. On Earth 13, the Justice League Incarnate are led by Dr. Dr. Multiverse into a creepy cemetery, the supposed location of where Darkseid's boom tube opened up. Superman knows that his contacts on the Earth will help, but warns them that Earth 13 is filled with magic and mystery. Entering a mausoleum, they head deep underground, finding a twisted corpse which asks them the password. Captain Carrot wants to get out of there as Superman delivers the password, opening the brick wall as the Hellblazer John Constantine meets with them, welcoming them to the Tavern of Mystery. Superman meets with the Hellblazer, pleased that he has agreed to help as John says that his team is sorting things out still, so they need to wait by the bar, but warns them not to eat or drink or anything, or even look at anyone. Avery asks Captain Carrot if he's okay, but the hero can't trust magicians since any minute now they'll try and shove him into a hat or sacrifice him in a ritual. Avery wishes Barry was there, telling Carrot about how when she got her powers, she couldn't stop vibrating, but Barry helped ground her and taught her to focus on the good. Carrot knows that Barry is pretty good for someone from Earth Zero, and so is Avery, hugging his new friend. Superman meanwhile notices how everyone seems to be on edge, as if a war is coming, as Dr. Multiverse offers to buy him a drink. Calvin reminds her that they shouldn't drink or eat anything, as Maya goes to see what karaoke is like on this Earth. Thomas teases Calvin for not having some fun with Maya, but Calvin knows he doesn't have time for that since they're on a mission. Thomas understands, but knows as someone who has learned everything the hard way, he has to live his life, and he knows that the multiverse is a gift and it gave him his son back, and he got to see him grow up to be a better man than he ever could be. But his Martha will always be lost to him, and every day, all of them, including Superman, have a little less time and life left. He knows that Calvin needs to live his life, not just survive, but Calvin says that he's on a mission to save the multiverse. Thomas knows when aren't they on a mission to save the multiverse, and as part of their never-ending battle, making Calvin relent and go and try and find Maya for that drink. As he searches, he runs into Fate, surprised to see the villain is actually alive after he betrayed Earth 13 to Darkseid. Fate says that he didn't know it was Darkseid pulling the strings, and worse things are coming for them now, and it's all President Superman and his team's fault. Batman threatens to make his fist disappear in the villain's face, but before Fate can attack, he's confronted by Super Demon, who knows that with two Supermen there, the villain is truly fucked. Fate runs off as Calvin meets with the otherworldly counterpart of his, who knows it's time they found the menace he is after. Super Demon takes them to see Anataz, who will help them find Barry Allen and defeat Darkseid. Thanks to the veil between the spirit and corporeal realms being thin on this Earth, the JLA ended up there instead of Darkseid's true location thanks to this veil, but with the Legion of the Stranger's help, they can hold a cosmic seance to find Darkseid's true location and send the team there. As the ritual begins, the magical orb in front of them cracks, spilling forth a vision of Darkseid at war and the damage he has done and how it has awoken the Great Darkness, along with the Darkness's minions who all fight for its power. The team know that something is wrong as Batman and Captain Carrot burst into flame, knowing that they couldn't trust the magicians. The entire team burst into flame and disappear, but Anataz knows they aren't dead like John thinks they are. They were sent somewhere far worse than hell. The team are taken to Darkseid, who is currently battling the giant Asmodal at the outer edge of the multiverse. Avery knows that this wasn't meant to happen since the Earth 13 heroes were meant to help them out, as Maya finds the crack in the multiverse, but it's surrounded by parademons and other minions. The team get to work, heading for the crack, but Dr. Multiverse is worried that they will need to make a hard choice between the fate of the multiverse and the fate of Barry Allen. Superman knows that heroes don't think like that, and there's always a way to save everyone. Asmodal demands that Darkseid give up his fight since he is no match for an angel of heaven. He smashes Darkseid back as Asmodal is goaded on by Sheeta Queen, who demands he kill Darkseid and take the power for himself to become the Angel King. The Grandfather Box also notices the woman, telling Darkseid, warning him of the woman as the Justice League Incarnate attack the monsters on the ground. Dr. Multiverse knows the crack has attracted other servants of the Great Darkness as a giant boom echoes through the world, heralding the arrival of the Batwoman who laughs, who blows up the team as Batman thought the Dark Multiverse was closed off, so how is she here? Thanks to her multivision, Dr. Multiverse tells Dr. Batman she can see she isn't from there, and Kathy Kane is actually from Earth 11, which means their multiverse is being corrupted. Thomas tells Maya never to call him Dr. Batman again, as the Batwoman who laughs uses her gauntlet to begin siphoning off the power from the crack. Darkseid and Asmodal send their minions to get their power, as Maya tells the team that she can still sync with the Grandfather Box and use it to boom tube the Batwoman who laughs to another universe. Thomas refuses to do that, wanting to kill the woman himself, but President Superman tells him that's not a viable option and they can hold her at the House of Heroes in one of their cells. Dr. Multiverse doesn't know if she could send her to a specific location, but Calvin tells her the house is anchored in a fixed point in the multiverse, and since they have all been there, she could sync up with the team again like she did with Avery on Earth 8. The team know that this could work, but Avery asks about finding Barry. Maya knows that the only option is to destabilize the crack and send it to another universe like last time. Thomas tells them that they need to stay and fight this head on and stop running, but Superman sees Darkseid stab Asmodal, knowing the god isn't distracted any longer, and they need to live to fight another day. But Thomas knows that Calvin wasn't listening to him back at the bar when he said that they can't assume that they will get another day. Dr. Multiverse tells Batman that they are doing this now as she unleashes her power onto Batwoman, who laughs. Orion meanwhile prepares to move the House of Heroes, powering up and achieving some movement in the station, piloting it to safety. Dino Cop wants to prepare to ventilate all decks of the Parademons once they are up optimal velocity, as Aquawoman doesn't trust this plan. The Batwoman, who laughs, suddenly appears on the station, having been teleported there by Dr. Multiverse. The team rush to lock her up as she unleashes the Gauntlet's power, knowing that the heroes will not ruin her plans. As the villain attacks, Calabac and Grail burst into the house, attacking the heroes as well. Orion loses control of the House of Heroes, sending them like a pinball through the multiversal bleed. Dinocop orders Harbinger to activate the House of Villains failsafe, ordering the self-destruct of the House of Heroes as it blasts through the bleed and into the unknown. Dr. Multiverse meanwhile is helped up by Superman, learning her multivision is gone and she can only see Calvin Ellis as himself. They find themselves in a quiet suburb, not knowing where the rest of the team are, as the other members of Justice League Incarnate have been spat out across the worlds of the multiverse. The superhero team, the Nimrod Squad of Earth-41, confront Captain Carrot,
demanding he tell them about the rot infecting their planet. Spore tells his friends to stand down since Captain Carrot doesn't know anything about it and they once fought together to save the multiverse, and that time has come again. He helps Carrot up, telling him about how his body is now part of the Green Spore, and because of it, he has a unique bond with the Fluorosphere, but not of just this Earth, but the multiverse, and he knows the darkness that's come and the crack in the multiverse, which has led to his greatest enemy, the Annihilator, trying to break it open and gain the ultimate power from within it. Carrot says that he lost his friends trying to stop Darkseid, and after the power he's faced, they will need a lot more heroes to stop this. Spore agrees, knowing that all his allies will help, including Dinocop. At the crashed House of Heroes, Grail hopes that the crash killed Orion, but Calabac knows that the children of Darkseid aren't so easily killed, but that can't be said for their Parademon horde. The Batwoman who laughs returns, cackling away, and Grail isn't happy since the multiverse just got rid of the male version of this character, then this one turns up like some cockroach. But she's not worrying since she won't live for long. The Batwoman who laughs doesn't want to fight the villains since she is leaving the Earth, and they should as well since she knows where they are. Calabac thinks that they are going to need more Parademons and they need to escape this place, but the heroes, if they are still alive, won't be alive for long. The heroes regroup nearby but find no signal of Aquawoman or Orion. Dinocop wants to figure out where they are and find some help from people on this Earth, but Thunderer knows where they are, revealing that they are on Earth 7, his former homeworld, and it's been long dead. Thunderer says that when the heroes all go home after their missions, he doesn't, and he just has to stay on the House of Heroes alone, and now he has failed both of them. Dinocop apologizes, knowing that they can rebuild the station, and Mary Marvel tells him once they figure out how to rid his Earth of the Gentry, they will rebuild that as well. Thunderer thanks his friends, knowing that they need to focus on the mission at hand and find their friends since the rest of the Justice League Incarnate need their help, and so does the multiverse. On Earth-31, Avery Ho is made to walk the plank of a boat owned by Blackbeard, telling the Pirate King that she's not there for any cosmic treasure of his. The bony captain knows his chest of maps told of her coming, knowing that she is the key to guide him to the crack in the multiverse. Blackbeard proclaims that this is what he wants to happen when Captain Wonder and her Amazons attack from their invisible blimp. Avery falls from the plank but is rescued by Donna of Troy, who frees her from her bonds. Avery thinks it's time she lent a hand as she speeds around the boat, suit, knocking out all of Blackbeard's men. Captain Wonder says that she reminds her of Wally Waterwalk, Donna's friend on the Titans, as Avery finds the chest the pirate talked about, finding it to be filled with a bunch of DC comics. On Earth 33, President Superman and Dr. Multiverse scour their way through a comic book shop as a guy compliments Maya's cosplay, citing that they just introduced Dr. Multiverse, so her cosplay is quite impressive. She asks Calvin why they are there, so Superman tells her that they are on Earth 33, which should be impossible since it's surrounded by a membrane that only ideas can penetrate, and it's the membrane that's stopping them from accessing their powers, but they can still communicate with the team, but to do so they need to make a comic book. 7 days later, Calvin, using an idea from an old Superman movie in this world, manages to secure them an apartment to live in. He reassures Maya that everything is going to be okay, and thanks to the time moving differently there is more than enough time to help their friends and save the multiverse. Calvin explains that it takes years to create issues of a comic that unknowingly conveys real things that happen over just a few weeks or months, but they can win this and they ended up on this world for a reason, and he intends on helping out. The heroes get to work, and after 23 days, Calvin meets a man named Ulrich Saxman, an editor at DC Comics, whom Calvin told everything to. Saxman knows that it's all impossible, but that's the kind of story he edits every day, and the imagination is more powerful than they give it credit for, and with the magic of comics, anything is possible. Flashpoint Batman meanwhile finds himself on Earth 26, where he beats up Feline Force, who is carted off by the cops, proclaiming that he'll have his revenge on Batman and the Zoo Crew. Later at the Z building, the animal heroes tell Batman that the transmatter cube isn't connecting to the House of Heroes, but when Captain Carrot returns, maybe it will work for him, which means Batman is stuck around for a little while longer. The team are happy about that, despite Batman's reluctance, since he was able to defeat Feline Force, and they want to make him an official member of the Zoo Crew because of it. Avery soon appears, glad to see Thomas since she's been looking over comics for days. Thomas really wants her to get him out of the cartoon world, so Avery touches Batman, zapping him and herself back to her world, pour over more comic books. On day 65 of Calvin and Maya's research, the couple argue over what Batman would say and wouldn't say. Calvin tries to charm Maya, but she doesn't fall for it this time, storming out of the room. 84 days later, Calvin moves Maya into her own place, despite her knowing that she doesn't need it. Calvin doesn't know how long they'll be there though, and they try to make it work as a couple, but they work better as teammates. Soon their phones ring with notes from Saxman, with the editor wanting Darkseid to win on page 27. A few days later, at the DC Comics offices, Aldrich explains that they have the villain win and it's dramatically necessary, but Maya refuses to do it, not knowing if her comics are influencing things outside the Earth or they are receiving signals from other Earths, but she will not aid Darkseid. Saxman tells her they need to do it to sell books, and they have always done it, and somehow their multiverse still exists. Soon Avery's voice breaks through into their Earth as her and Batman appear in a ghost-like form. Avery says that she can barely penetrate this Earth's membrane, and Dr. Multiverse is the only one who can do it properly. Maya says that her powers don't work there, but Avery tells her that she is just scared like how she was when she started all of this, and Maya is the doctor of the entire multiverse, which includes this Earth. Avery tells him that the crack in the multiverse is in the Nimrod Squad comic where Captain Carrot is, as Aldrich reveals a device on his hand, happy to learn where the crack is. Avery tells Maya to sync her power with her like they did before to get to Carrot's world, reaching out with her hand as Aldrich begins changing, saying that he has endured this mundane realm for months and they will not ruin it with their power of friendship. Calvin changes costume, demanding to know who Saxman really is as the being grabs Maya and Avery's hand, telling them that with only his help will they have a chance at salvation. On Earth 41, Captain Carrot and the other heroes battle Annihilator as Superman, Batman, Avery, and Dr. Multiverse arrive battling Aldrich, who is revealed to be Darkseid. The heroes all restrain Darkseid, refusing to let him destroy the multiverse, but the being throws them off with ease, telling them that he is more than Armageddon and he is Darkseid. He confronts Annihilator, demanding the being hand over the crack, but the villain knows that he'll need to pry it from his rotten fingers. Darkseid obliges him, attacking the villain as the heroes regroup, with Superman saving Avery from one of Annihilator's claw tentacles. Captain Carrot says that this Earth's heroes are fighting a losing battle and they need to help them. Calvin knows that they will stop Darkseid and rescue Barry, but Thomas wants to know how many worlds are they going to let suffer for one man, saying he knew Barry Allen and for the greater good they need to close the crack now. Maya agrees, but Avery refuses to do that, knowing that if Barry was there he would try to save everyone. Maya apologizes, saying that her powers are to heal the multiverse and maybe they can save Barry after they stop Darkseid from destroying everything. Superman knows that this isn't the right way, but Maya knows that his way isn't always right, racing off to grab the crack from Annihilator, which is just what Darkseid wanted. In a flash of light, Annihilator is disintegrated and the crack is gone, and Darkseid reveals that Dr. Multiverse never had the power to seal the crack. She can only contain it, so no one can exploit it. Avery knows that the villain still loses, telling him to go back to whatever hellhole he crawled out of, but Darkseid tells Maya to tell her friends her secret, so Dr. Multiverse knows that it's not over, and they need to let Darkseid win. On Earth 7, the heroes find the hull of the Ultima Thule, knowing that they could get it flying and escape the world. Strummer finds something, alerting the team to Aquawoman and Orion, who now only talk about the Oblivion Machine and the Gentry. Dynacop knows that with the Gentry finishing their Oblivion Machine, they will have to blow it up before they leave, but Orion calls him a fool since the machine is everywhere because Earth 7 is the machine. The world around them begins to shift and change as the Empty Hand arrives, telling them that the final chapter begins and the Great Darkness is coming.
Dr. Multiverse explains that in the beginning there was a single black infinitude, black and cold, but soon a light grew in the darkness and it screamed at it, causing a flaw to form in the perfection of the light, and from that flaw the multiverse was born, beginning the start of the eternal push and pull of the great darkness and the light, which culminated in the crisis of infinite Earths, a war between the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor. Monitor gave his life to activate the multiverse's immune systems, the superheroes who fought the Anti-Monitor, but victory came at a cost, and the multiverse died to give birth to one single universe. Thanks to the universe being weakened, the Great Darkness tried to attack, but luckily Swamp Thing was on hand to broker a truce and compromise of a near-perfect harmony. But soon the Great Darkness continued its plans via puppets like Magog and Superboy Prime, all of whom were unaware of what was happening to them, eventually building and leading to another crisis that forced the lone universe to evolve again into a new multiverse. Monitors were dispatched to contain and limit the new multiverse to 52 worlds, slowing the Great Darkness's awakening. Soon though, Darkseid, one of the few aware of the existence of the Great Darkness, soon learned of its truth, that it cares for no good or evil, life or death, and only wants nothing to be everything once more. So Darkseid triggered the final crisis, all designed to draw out the Great Darkness, but there was one thing that Darkseid didn't count on, which was his own mortality as he was killed by Batman. As Superman tries to save the multiverse with the Miracle Machine, the Great Darkness shows itself through Mandrak, the first Monitor and first corrupted by the Dark. Another Monitor activates the immune system of the multiverse again, and the heroes protect the worlds, defeating Mandrak and activating the Miracle Machine to heal the multiverse. The Great Darkness soon learns its true enemy is that of the superheroes, with Earth Zero being right in the center of it all, containing prime versions with variations of the heroes emanating outwards to the surrounding universes. The Darkness soon found Dr. Manhattan, cursing him with the task of weakening the heroes of Earth Zero by stealing time from their universe. In another world, the right hand of the Great Darkness soon became the Empty Hand, growing the army of the Gentry from the corpses of the old multiverse, corrupting even the Super Judge to its ranks. Luckily though, the Super Judge sent out an SOS to the Justice League Incarnate and many other heroes of the multiverse who came together to fight the Gentry. While the battle raged, the final Monitor, Nix Uotan of the Gentry, freed Darkseid from his tomb, returning him to life. Darkseid began the journey back to godhood, and the heroes save Nix and quarantine the Gentry on Earth 7, where the Gentry continue the work on the Oblivion Machine to undo the wish made by the Miracle Machine, as the Great Darkness began the Metal Wars on Earth 0, unleashing the horrors of the dark multiverse on the world. The heroes still managed to beat back the Batman Who Laughs and Barbatos, but they would be fundamentally changed as Earth 0 was no longer the center of the multiverse, replaced with two new Earths, mysterious and still undiscovered Elseworld, as
well as Earth Omega, which was revealed to be a fragment of the Great Darkness imprisoned by the Quintessence, who were recently killed by the one true Darkseid, who had returned to godhood. From his new seat of power, Darkseid kidnapped and used Barry Allen to crack the multiverse so he could control the Great Darkness and prevent it from turning everything into nothing. But then the Justice League Incarnate came along and messed it all up. Dr. Multiverse tells the others just as Barry Allen was about to crack the multiverse, President Superman broke Darkseid's machine and it bound Barry and the stress point to Earth Omega, pulling the hero into whatever lies beyond, while the crack was relocated to Earth 8, her world. She reveals the multiverse gave her powers to heal it in case anything like this happened, and it's why she's been so driven to seal it with or without saving Barry. But when she had the chance, she wasn't powerful enough. Luckily, her powers came with cosmic insight, and it's why they came to this place for answers, knowing Darkseid must win. Darkseid knows the absolute enemy of everything is the enemy of evil as well, and he should be powerful enough to stop it now. Superman refuses to believe this as Avery demands to know how Maya could have done this, since she said together they would save the multiverse. Batman wants to get her as far away from Darkseid as possible, but it's too late as boom tubes open and Darkseid's army arrives. Grail and Calabac reveal that Orion betrayed them and crashed the House of Heroes on Earth 7, prompting Superman to try and learn more, but Grail punches the man, knowing her words are for Darkseid only. Captain Carrot tells Calvin to calm down since they are surrounded, as Darkseid asks her about the monitor tech in the House of Heroes since it's crucial for his mission. Grail says that their army didn't survive the impact and they escaped upon learning they were on Earth 7, which is currently infested by the Gentry. Darkseid knows that they must go there and fight, wondering if the Justice League Incarnate will join them, but Calvin asks if that's the only way, why didn't the villain come to them first? Darkseid knows diplomacy is a luxury they cannot afford right now, and every moment spent chasing the hero's ideals of truth, hope and justice allow the enemies to strengthen and grow. As he explains the Dark Multiverse's influence has already grown, Thomas tries to inject Dr. Multiverse with something, telling Calvin that it's just a sedative, but Superman, thanks to his microscopic vision, knows he's lying. Thomas begins coughing, knowing that killing Maya solves the problem, as it's revealed that Thomas has been infected by the Great Darkness, and Darkseid knows that Batman now no longer exists in the body. Superman tries to reason with Thomas, but the former hero calls for the eradication of all. Darkseid has had enough, firing his Omega beams at the man and killing the Flashpoint Batman. He finds Superman mourning him pathetic, since he's never met a Superman who has been able to overcome his weak humanity. He demands the hero accept the casualties of war and fight on before nothing exists. Darkseid confronts Dr. Multiverse, taking the power of the multiversal crack from her and wanting to use it as a nail to be driven into the empty hand. He rallies his battle legions behind him as he boom tubes over to Earth 7. Avery asks Superman what they should do, but the man still doesn't know, since their teammates, the House of Heroes and everything are gone, and they have no way back to other Earths or a way to call for help against Darkseid and the Great Darkness. Captain Carrot knows that they can't just take Darkseid's word for this, and they don't know if the rest of the team are gone, and they can't give up hope. Superman knows his friend is right, since Thomas would want them to make this moment count, and while it's too dark to see the light, it doesn't mean it's not out there shining for them to find it. Dr. Multiverse knows she can get them to Earth 7, that is if they still want her help, and Superman knows that she is part of this team despite being disappointed in her, but knows that she only did what she thought was right, but she did it without them, and that's not what teams do. Maya understands that none of them are meant to do this alone, and the team agree to go to Earth 7 and find their friends, as on the other Earth, Darkseid and his forces confront the Gentry. Darkseid proclaims that his resurrection was a fatal mistake in their master's plans, growing in size and stabbing the empty hand with the multiversal power. The being laughs off the attack, pulling the multiversal spear from his body and proclaiming that Darkseid is the greatest fool in the multiverse and beyond. The empty hand reveals that all the villain has done is deliver him the final component for the Oblivion machine, and soon the Great Darkness will be birthed into the multiverse and the entire Omniverse will shatter. He proclaims that his hand is no longer empty and Darkseid is no longer needed, stomping on the villain as Superman and the others make it to Earth 7, finding the crashed House of Heroes. Calvin uses his belt's Brainiac AI to restart Harbinger, bringing the computers back online and ordering her to run an expanding perimeter around the wreckage, as he and Captain Carrot will use their vision powers to scan deeper while Avery runs a perimeter. Superman wants Dr. Multiverse to be ready to transport them out of there if the Parademons or the Gentry find them, but Maya can see that Darkseid is losing the battle, but Superman tells her they'll deal with that once they get some more backup, and he's not giving up. A voice says that he probably should, as the rest of their team appear, all having been infected by the Great Darkness and intend on doing the same to the rest of the heroes.
In the past, Darkseid's wife Sully shows her husband his newly born son Orion, showing him he doesn't need to always have a clenched fist, and this is what happens when he is his true self. Later on, Sully dies under mysterious circumstances as Darkseid's mother tells her son not to be weakened by this, and love is chaos that cannot be chained, and hopefully the death of his wife will bring the gift of control to him, and he can remember who he is. Darkseid does so, as in the present he battles the Empty Hand as Justice League Incarnate battle their darkness-possessed friends, with Superman promising to save them from the Great Darkness. Dr. Multiverse can see how to break them free from its hold as Avery struggles with Mary Marvel, getting caught in a chokehold. Dr. Multiverse tells her to lose control of her speed so that Mary cannot predict where she will go. Avery blasts Mary off of her as Maya knows that if Flash can sync their vibrations, she can separate everyone from the Great Darkness, but only as long as Superman and Captain Carrot keep them busy. Superman tells her to hurry as Avery begins building up speed, letting Dr. Multiverse sync her powers together with hers and free all of their friends. Justice Incarnate reunite, but Orion knows there's no time to celebrate since Darkseid cannot be allowed to get this great power. Superman knows that the Great Darkness is the bigger threat here, and Dr. Multiverse knows that the Darkseid is the only thing right now keeping the multiverse and the Omniverse away from the darkness. Orion thinks that they are all doomed then as Darkseid grows in size to meet the Empty Hand on its level. The Hand finds his power impressive, but is nothing compared to the darkness, and the crack in the multiverse has allowed him to tap into the Great Darkness directly. He beats Darkseid away, saying that he's nothing but a gnat to be swept away by the Empty Hand. The giant Darkseid falls down, almost crushing the heroes as the Empty Hand begins its plan, creating the Oblivion Machine, knowing that the Gentry have longed for this moment. He opens a portal, shepherding in the Gentry into the darkness before asking if Darkseid can hear its call, offering him an invitation into the portal. Darkseid doesn't back down from the fight, rushing into the portal after the Empty Hand, finding himself in a black void as he calls for the coward to come and face him. The Great Darkness says that he has returned to nothing from whence he came, and Darkseid knows that he cannot be controlled. The darkness says that control is just an illusion. Darkseid's mind is already his, showing him his right hand, which is now the Empty Hand, while the left hand has become the closed fist of Darkseid. Darkseid again knows that he's no puppet, but the Great Darkness knows it's already too late for the villain. Orion meanwhile tells the team they must destroy the Oblivion Machine as Grail appears, knowing that they cannot allow him to destroy the machine while their father is trapped inside of it. Orion dares Grail to try, but in her current state she won't be able to, but Grail knows the heroes aren't in any shape to fight either. Orion stops the arguing, knowing what's on the other side of the portal threatens all of them combined, and he can feel the pull of the machine in his blood, just like he thinks Grail can. He tries to convince her to join the League and help him save the multiverse and lead their people, but Grail refuses to take that burden onto her shoulders since Orion is actually next in line, ordering the hordes of Apocalypse to bow before their new lord. The Justice League Incarnate meanwhile look over the machine, wondering how they can even stop this, since it will eventually swallow Earth-7 and then the entire universe. Thunderer knows how he can handle this, revealing that while Orion's forces called him mortal, he actually isn't, and he's the storm god of Earth-7, and he thinks he can call upon the power to destroy what's left of the planet and the Oblivion Machine along with it. Superman refuses to let him destroy his home world since they vowed to save it, but Thunderer knows there's not much left of the world, and even if he could fix it, he would be its lone survivor. He tells his friends that the House of Heroes and them are his home, and Harbinger has already saved that. Superman agrees to help, but Dr. Multiverse wants to try and rescue Barry Allen from the darkness before destroying anything. Avery knows they can do this, but Superman doesn't want them to be on the other side of the portal alone, so he and Captain Carrot will go with them. He tells Aquawoman and Dino Cop that if they don't come back in a few hours, they need to destroy the portal even if they're still within it. The team speed into the portal, arriving in a strange colourful suburb. As they try and find Barry, a little boy hears what they are saying, wondering if they're looking for his Uncle Barry, revealing himself to be Wallace West. He leads the heroes to the streets as Avery thinks that this Wallace is this world's kid Flash, as soon they find Flash mowing the lawn of his home. Avery goes to hug him, but the man doesn't know who she is, only knowing she's obviously another Flash. Superman introduces himself, telling him that he was tricked by Darkseid into damaging their multiverse before being trapped in this prison, but Flash knows that's nonsense since this place is a paradise and he's happy, excusing himself for his supper. Superman goes to touch him, but Flash punches him in the face, saying that he's right where he belongs, speeding inside. Captain Carrot thinks that he's off his rocker, wanting to just drag him back into their multiverse, but Calvin knows that's easier said than done. Suddenly Pariah arrives, telling them that this universe is too fragile for crossovers. He knows he can make them all happy, offering his hand to give them all their own paradises, but Dr. Multiverse warns against that, powering up to escape, but the villain knows that that's perfect. Back on Earth 7, Aquawoman and Dino Cop find the portal is getting unstable, wanting to just tear it down, as Orion says they need to step down as leader of the Justice League Incarnate, since he's taking over his father's kingdom. He leads the hordes of Apocalypse back to New Genesis as Aquawoman laments how much he loathes that man. Thunderer gets ready, blasting up into the sky and calling forth the World Storm, unleashing the power onto the Oblivion Machine and Earth 7 as he says goodbye to his world and friends, blowing it all up as the House of Heroes speeds away from the explosion. Soon Mary Marvel spots the team emerging from the darkness. Superman and the others are brought on board as they enter the bleed once more, escaping from the explosion. Captain Carrot wonders if they had a win now, as Superman tells Maya he should have been able to talk with Pariah, but Maya knows that he is the voice of the Great Darkness, and there is no reasoning with both of them. She does reveal that when she saw Pariah, she saw what he and the Great Darkness are building, calling it an army like no one has ever seen before, and its darkness already spreads across the bleed and nothing can stop it. Superman knows they need to get to Earth Zero since they need Barry's Justice League for this. Pariah meanwhile knows all is going according to the Darkness's plans, and the Justice League Incarnate close the portal, but the barrier between Multiverse 1 and 2 is weakened, and now that Darkseid has rejoined the body, it's time to just push through it. Darkseid meanwhile has surrendered to the Great Darkness, joining Eclipso, Doomsday, the Upside Down Man, and various other villains as part of the Dark.